It's 10 o'clock. It's Friday. It's the EV Cafe News. Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome to the news and views with the award-winning EV Cafe. 30 minutes of what's happening in sustainable transport with expert analysis from the EV Cafe crew, brought to you in partnership this week with Iveco and the world record-holding E-Daily, the complete solution, and not the only world record holder we've got here. But let's move on. Oh, hang on a second, though. World record holders. Paul, are you one?
No.
John, are you one? No. Sam, are you one?
Yes.
Okay, we'll come back to you in just a minute for more on that story. Yes, again. World record. But not the same one. Anyway, coming up. Let's see what we've got in the news this week. We've got a UK bank makes history with €750 million bond focused exclusively on financing electric vehicles. The Association of Fleet Professionals identifies easy wins for our new government. The government sets a budget for clean energy projects, and the government goes on to have to tackle the issue of legalising e-scooters. We'll talk about that later. And then Milton Keynes completes the Dragon's Den electric charging trial, otherwise known as Gerbo Charge. But before we get into that, we mentioned the Guinness World Record holding Iveco E-Daily, and we know all about Sam and his van. But now, there's even more. Joe, could you run VT, dear boy?
Energy at 1 a.m. in the morning. Right, my name's Sam Clark, this is Kevin Booker, and we're just about to attempt to break the longest distance ever done in an electric car.
On a single charge.
On a single charge, forgot that bit.
So we think we're going to be driving for about 20 hours with 0 charges.
We are talking jeopardy of the highest levels.
We are still short by 55 miles.
I nearly ran over a peacock.
Right, we just got to go on with it, haven't we? Let's just do it.
There we are. Let's do it. And we were hoping to go live to the Guinness World Record holding Sam Clark, who may have had a busy weekend. Sam, tell us more. What have you been up to? He's not going to tell us. He's keeping us in suspenders.
I don't know if you can hear me, guys, because my reception is appalling. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, mate.
Yep. He
Excellent.
doesn't think he
Well,
can be heard.
We'll go back to
my
Sam
reception's
later.
dropped.
But the good news is that Sam has been out with Richard Parker
You can
and
hear
Kevin
us.
Booker, and he
Nope.
has been setting another Guinness World Record. So not just once, but twice. He's absolutely pants with technology, but great when it comes to getting Guinness World Records. Let's move on. This week, NatWest Group announced a milestone by issuing its inaugural electric vehicle green bond, raising a substantial €750 million from institutional investors across the UK, Europe and Asia. This groundbreaking move positions NatWest Group as the first UK bank to launch a green bond dedicated solely to financing and refinancing electric vehicles. The newly acquired funds will support EV financing via NatWest Group's asset finance division, Lombard. And this initiative builds on Lombard's recent track record of providing over £2.3 billion in funding for sustainable transportation. Paul, we've talked often about the need to find innovative financial models to support the transition. And this is that such thing, isn't it? It's giving the market something, confidence, I guess.
Yeah, it is. I think it's got to be deployed very, very strategically, and there needs to be kind of some understanding of how that money can support both the first sale and the second sale of the vehicle, because these green funds need to be cleverer than the way that we've been doing it so far. So, you know, we've been using blunt instruments to manage the market, and we've not really been laser focused on the key elements. For me, key element is residual value. How can they support residual value? Can they factor in a higher residual value and then fund that second vehicle based on that then higher residual value? I'm really keen to see how they will work with the market to deploy this fund in a strategic manner, not just throw money out into the market and hope for the best.
I think the problem with the higher residual value, though, is that has an impact then on the used market and those people who are using used EVs at a very, very good price. They're coming in really cheap at the moment. And it's that robbing Peter to pay Paul thing. Can the corporates afford to pay for the depreciation to open up that used market?
I don't think they can. Honestly, the residual values, particularly in the van market, and of course I speak mainly about the van market, but I do recognise the car market has also been struggling, although it is improving. What we need to get is a balanced residual value that allows the first market to flourish, but also then the second market still to get really good value, but at a price that is recognising the value of the batteries, the value of lower maintenance, lower cost of fuel, total running costs. The total running cost of a electric vehicle today, based on the residual values that we've got at the moment, is considerably behind diesel. I mean, considerably. And that's almost the balance that we need to get. We need the front end to be equal to, and the second life to be equal to.
Yeah, it's a fine line to walk. Now, we're delighted to have Sam Clark back with us. Well done, Sam. Now, we were having a little chat about a little something you might have done at the weekend. Tell us more.
I can't say too much, but did you play the video, John? If you did, I missed it.
Yes, sir. We played the video.
All right. Okay. Yes. So we've gone about it again and done another challenge, and of course the results of that will come out in due course. But it's very, very exciting. And it's just great to be doing things. I mean, I was reflecting on the fact that you were going to bring this up, John, this morning. And what I love about the challenges that Kevin and I have done and Webfleet have done over the past couple of years, it just shows the art of the possible, right? And as you well know, I'm a doer. I like to do things and then talk about it. We spend too often starting sentences with "we need to," what does that mean? That means that you want somebody else to do it for you. So I just want to keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with these sort of attempts, just to showcase the art of the possible for others to be able to hopefully do something similar, not the same, just similar. Just get on the journey, do things. And that's why I do these. That's why I do these records and why I do these challenges. It's hard work, as it was on a motorbike on a rally. No one's ever done that before, so I'm going to do it. I want to do things and show what's possible. Hopefully, to give other people the appetite and ambition to follow suit, and that's what it's all about for me.
And when might we know more, Sam? Having done the attempt, when might we know if you've been successful or not?
Well, I can't really say that, but I don't. Let's just say I'll tell you two things. Firstly, I don't think we'd be doing a teaser video of that nature if we hadn't done okay. But it's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, and Jeopardy doesn't come close to covering the challenge that we had. It was something I will remain with me for the rest of my days. So look forward to the next chapter going out. It should be fun. I haven't seen it yet, but the guys from Generate Media are obviously feverishly putting it all together in the background. So it should be fun.
Well done for doing. Let's wait and see what comes out from that, and we'll bring you updates as and when we're able to about Sam's latest Guinness World Record breaking attempt. Yeah, indeed. It's only an attempt, you know. You can't say whether he has or he hasn't. He likes doing things unless it means confirming one way or the other whether he's actually got a Guinness World Record again. Anyway, let's move on, shall we, and do a few shout-outs, because Graham McLaren Harris, 9:38, my friend. Now, I know that Carl Elliott was in a couple of minutes before we started the broadcast thinking he was the cat's pyjamas. Clearly, Graham McLaren Harris, 9:38. You need a new alarm clock, my friend. Leon Gomez, hello, good morning to you. Economy Trucks. Now, that's a new one. Not seen you before. Who is Economy Trucks? Do tell. Craig
Can
Stevenson.
I just say... Sorry, John, just before we got... So we had Graham McLaren Harris at 9:38 on YouTube, which is why you can see it. But then on LinkedIn, before you arrived, we had Graham Harris, which is quite unusual. I've highlighted him. So we've got Graham McLaren Harris on there, and then Graham Harris on there. So there were the first two in the room. So it's slightly odd. And then we had Leon Gomez and Michael Barton as well. But and Carl Elliott. And Evie Musings, well done. And then we got to Economy Trucks.
May I
just filling in the gaps.
May I just posit an idea that perhaps Graham McLaren Harris and Graham Harris are one and the same, and he just had LinkedIn and YouTube blaring at him in
maybe.
stereo. Now, there's a thought. Just thinking outside of the box there. But anyway.
Let's find out.
Indeed. Tell us. Economy Trucks, who are you, dear chap?
Who are
Craig
you?
Stevenson, good morning. Esther Jones from the AA, lovely to see you. I know you've been out and about and doing wonderful shows around the country, just showcasing how good the AA are. The aforementioned Richard Parker. Now, Sam's got his hand
Sam's
in
got
the air
something
like
to
he
say.
just don't care.
Sorry, John. Yeah, firstly, I'm just answering Richard's question. Where's the beard gone? Down the sink is the answer. And also, there's a certain person who I just think we should also shout out to this morning, which is, of course, the wonderful Sarah Sloman, who's currently recovering from her shoulder
getting to
operation.
her.
So she's in the chat, but I know that she's listening intently. Are we getting there? Are we? Well, I don't know we're going to say it or not. So I thought I'd point it out.
This from the man who hates the shout-outs. But there we are.
Or
He did a
interruptions.
shout-out. No, can I say hello?
My
a big
hand up.
hello to,
You didn't.
Can I say hello to my dog, Rosie, and to my other dog, Sasha? That's wonderful. There we are. Now let's move on. Peter Heath from PLP. Peter, you are that LinkedIn user, the masked man who always comes through as LinkedIn user. Bless you for being here. Holly Baldwin from Greenfleet is in sunny Malta. What's she doing out there? Greenfleet, Malta. Now, there's a thought. I didn't get the invitation. Sarah Sloman, the aforementioned. Yeah, you are a superstar, dear lady. Continuing to work with a number of screws in your shoulder. Utterly fabulous. Well done. Lovely to see you. Dan Martin, Pam Hanlon. What a butcher. Paul Kirby, he's here, apparently. Ashley Bannister. Hello. Jill McCulloch, morning. Amy Carter, love you, hug you. Massive squeeze for you because you said my hugs are the best. Thank you. Alan Wright. Now, there we go. From the Ground Transport Group. Hello. Tony Clayton. Haven't made it to the cafe for a few weeks. That's all right, mate. Welcome back. Lovely to see you.
We've let him back in.
Yeah, of course we did. He had one of those special passports. You know, he's an Avenger, so it's okay. Michael
right.
Barton, leave some records for the rest of us, he says to Sam. If you would do a Guinness World Record, dear people, what would it be for? Alan Castle. Now, there's a wonderful human being from the aforementioned Webfleet. Utterly brilliant human being. And the video that we showed earlier that Sam didn't see was all to do with Alan and the hard work that he does. Liz Allen. Hello, Liz. Mark Elliott. 100% Paul. No idea what that's about. Joe Tanner. He said, as a residual value manager for an OEM, I agree with the focus on RVs, but it is a very complex area, unfortunately.
He's right.
He
You know.
is right. He is right. Alan Castle says that Sam is inspirational. Clearly needs more medication.
I'm not
Graham
showing that.
Graham Harris, no relation. Now, there we have it in black and white. Graham Harris is not a relation to the other Graham Harris.
Graham McLaren Harris.
Indeed. Economy Trucks is Steve Warts from Volvo Economy Used Trucks. Steve, you are very welcome. Thank you all very much for joining us on a Friday morning at 13 minutes past 10. Don't be leaving us anytime soon because we've got 4 more stories for you. Now then, 5 easy wins have been identified by the Association of Fleet Professionals that the industry body is aiming to promote to the new Labour government. Board member Lorna, wonderful Macketeer, said the ideas would be relatively fast and simple to put into practice, cost little or nothing, and provide a wide range of benefits for the fleet sector. These easy wins include realism on electric vehicle policy. So no more of this pie in the sky stuff. Let's have evidence-based policy making. What a good idea. EV labelling and education. And I think this is the key that people need to understand. Make it easy for all of us to understand. None of this kilowatt hour nonsense. But let's get down to some simple language. Yeah, we understand it, Sam, but not everybody does. This is one that gets me really excited. Standardized battery state of health checks. Yes, absolutely. If you're looking in the used market, we need to have an authoritative reading of the state of the health of the battery. Vehicle to grid battery storage, really important. A little slow coming to market, but we need that big style. And relaxing planning laws to make installing charge points faster and easier. Now let's go to Sam. Sam, you screwed your face up when I talked about having simple language to explain stuff?
No, I didn't screw it up on that. That's obviously exactly what we need is simple language. I think just the key thing is we've just got. Well, you said all that kilowatt hour nonsense, but the reason that screwed my face up at that was we need some fundamental understanding. Kilowatts is power. Kilowatt hours is the unit of energy that you store in your vehicle. The simple basic stuff which equates to miles per gallon and fuel in your tank and all of those references to the fuel market. So we absolutely need to keep it simple, but there does need to be a touch of education. People need to understand what a kilowatt and a kilowatt hour is, because one of them determines the size of the battery in your vehicle and the other one determines the amount of power you're going to receive from a public charger or from a domestic charger, etc. So we need some basic ones.
We're nerds. We get that stuff. Mrs. Miggins, who's driving her little electric car to the shops and round town, she does not get it. And
doesn't matter, John. You didn't know what a G or a 2G or a 3G or a 5G was on your phone 10 years ago, but you do now, right? There's certain things that just become. Well, no, and that's actually the point. No one really knows what a G is. But what you do know is it relates to something important to you, which is the speed of your internet. And we all know that, right? And we all now know what it is. So you don't necessarily need to know kilowatt as a measure of power, not speed, or all the technicalities.
It's megabits per second, though, isn't it? Speed of your
it doesn't
internet.
The point is, it doesn't matter. You just know the principle that the higher number of G. Honestly, he'll learn how to do media stuff eventually. The higher number determines the greater speed, in the same way that kilowatts is a higher number determines the greater amount of power and the faster your car will charge. So we've got to get some of those fundamentals across to the wider nascent market.
Amy Carter agrees with you, Sam. She says, totally agree, Sam. We've been using kilowatts to determine engine power over horsepower for quite a while now. E-motor is the same measurement. Yeah, she's right, and I get that, but there's an awful lot of people who still don't know whether they're putting in 95, 97 octane in their fuel tank for petrol. Not a clue, don't care. It's just leaded, unleaded, whatever it might be. Whop it in the car and off you go. Paul, you want to say something? Go. It's my show. I'll speak. Go.
Kilowatts is the speed that the energy goes in. It's also the power of the motor. So we've got two definitions for the same thing. What I think we all need to understand is that kilowatts... Yes, we do, Sam. That's a fact. Kilowatts speed of energy into the vehicle and kilowatts power of the motor. That's a fact.
It's not. Kilowatts is a measure of power, not speed.
Well, okay, but it's the speed at which the power travels into the vehicle. 73 kilowatts per hour is the speed at which... Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I understand, but what we're doing is getting semantics. What we honestly need to do is we need to be less prissy about whether it's kilowatts and kilowatt hours and understand the context with which people say it. If somebody says it's got a 70 kilowatt battery... Everybody knows that it's a 70 kilowatt hour battery. It doesn't really matter whether they understand it or not. I think it's unimportant, really. But EV labelling and education is really important because people don't know what they're looking at. And particularly in the used vehicle market and particularly in vans, there is no indication of what that vehicle is. Anywhere on the vehicle, it could be a 75 kilowatt hour e-Vivaro. It could be a 50 kilowatt hour e-Vivaro. I've had a vehicle delivered to me that I was told was a 75 kilowatt hour and it was actually a 50 kilowatt hour. You could not tell. That's where the market needs to get cleverer. It needs to get clearer in its naming cultures and it needs to get clearer in defining what that vehicle will do, be it charging speed, be it battery size, be it power output. All of those coming under the banner of kilowatts, kilowatt hours, all in that same world. So I think it is really important. It's one of the things that should be done.
I'll be really honest. I still don't understand pound-feet of torque. Never will. I know it's the more you have, the faster it goes. That's really it. I'm a simple human being, and I think I just don't get it. Feet of torque.
Well, yeah, I mean, John, that last sentence, the more you have, the faster it goes, is a good summary in many ways, because as Paul says, kilowatts is a measure of power, which is why it's linked to motors as well as it is to the distribution of energy through a cable for charging. But to your point, John, no one really cares whether you've got a 1.6 or a 2 litre engine anymore. what the focus needs to be on kilowatts is the level by which you charge at. If it's 350 kilowatt charger, then you get up to that rate when you charge. And kilowatt hours is a unit of energy for your battery storage. It's as simple as that.
Lots of chat in the box. Paul, final comment, then we've got to move.
Pound-feet of torque isn't necessarily how fast you go. And Amy will confirm this. It's about the ability to pull. Torque is about that. So if you've got a lot of torque in a truck,
you're complicating it. Don't complicate.
No, but
that's what we're trying to get.
Important.
We're trying to simple things down. No,
but
basic fundamentals is what we need to educate.
Honestly, it's got to be the application has got to be important. It's not as simple, and it isn't as simple as pound-feet of torque means how fast you can go. That isn't true, because it's about the context.
It's force times distance, and you're quite right. Newton meters of torque is much, much easier to understand, said Newton. Right, okay, let's move on. The government has announced a budget of over £1.5 billion to deliver homegrown clean energy projects and boost the UK's energy security. Energy Secretary Ed Miliband announced on Wednesday the budget for this year's renewable energy auction is being increased by £500 million to over £1.5 billion, a record budget helping build new green infrastructure as part of the mission to deliver clean power by 2030. I think you both have to agree, surely, that this is a monumental thing. Sam, good thing?
Yeah, I haven't read this article, John, if I'm honest. I've been too busy this week, but looking over what you just announced, obviously it's good news, isn't it? I'd love to know more about this when I get a chance, but ultimately this government does appear to be proactively thinking with a green agenda in mind, which is very encouraging. I just hope they come through with it with some of the things that they're claiming, but no reason to suggest they're not going to. So fingers crossed, this sort of rhetoric from government continues to go forward, because at the moment, looking pretty positive for their green agendas.
Paul, it's always fascinated me. We're an island nation where the waves roll in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yet tidal doesn't seem to be a thing in the UK. Any idea why?
I don't know why. There is some tidal, particularly around the Shetlands or the Orkneys, one of the two. And there is some tidal energy which does help. And I for me, I'm with you, John, that we should be focused on tidal. But let's to Sam's point, sometimes it's about maximising what we've got already. Let's use stuff that we know works, like wind, like solar, and let's maximise and go to the limits with that, because it's there. What's interesting about the government at the moment is that they have been so successful, and they're in terms of their mandate to come in and govern. I'm a little worried that we can't seem to get them to come and talk to us. And we've been trying to get them to come and talk to us. And I'm really keen to see them come out and have these conversations. Instead of just putting statements out there, come and talk to us. Because it's easy for you guys to put out statements, and I don't want them to think that their however many seat majority means that they don't have to engage and talk. I think it's really important to have these things questioned and tested, and also to come out and talk to the public about the winning the hearts and minds thing that we've talked about already today. Let's have them come talk to us and communicate these things, because it's proving difficult to get to ministers and people that can come and speak with authority on the direction that the government has clearly set out. It is really exciting. I just want to see the meat on the bones.
No, I think you're right. And the next article talks or speaks to this specific issue of the interaction between government and the people. The government should urgently legalise e-scooters and accelerate the move to green transport. That's the message from a coalition of councils, transport groups, environmental campaigners and the e-scooter scheme operators, led by the national charity for shared transport, Collaborative Mobility UK. And this is the point. In an open letter to Transport Secretary Louise Hagan and ministers, they say a new legal status is the only way to resolve the problems caused by entirely unregulated, privately owned e-scooters being ridden on public roads. The letter also argues that the move would provide the highly successful shared e-scooter trials in England with a long-term future, help the UK meet its net zero and air quality targets, improve public health and unlock investment. And it just feels, I know it's early days with the new government, but it does feel that there's lots of goodwill, lots of ideas. AFP saying to government, there are 5 things here you could do. When are we going to actually see these bodies get out from behind their benches and come and talk to us? Sam, you work heavily with government organisations. Has the dialogue slowed as the new government has come in?
Yes, it has a touch. To Paul's point, I think that, mind you, to be fair, they're busy, selling their stalls, aren't they, and getting themselves ready for the next 4 years or more. So yeah, and we're always communicating with the government, but it's obviously it's a big transition, a big change at the moment. As far as the point in question here in legalising e-scooters, I think it absolutely needs to be done. We've got to draw a line somewhere. We've got pedal bikes that you can, or pedal assist bikes that you can ride legally on the road, and that's I think that's established and understood. But you've got to draw a line somewhere, and these things. In Cheltenham, where I live, most of the time I see the scooters. It's Friday night, Saturday night, people drunk going down the road. And they're going to hurt themselves. They're going to hurt other people, and it's just a law unto themselves, and it's dangerous. And it's a great, simple, green mode of transport, but it's also incredibly dangerous when used wrongly. So there's got to be some sort of legislation to prevent that from happening, especially when people are riding on pavements. And some of these things weigh like 50 kg. These scooters, they are heavy. And that, it's not a little thing you stick on your back. Some of them are monsters, and it's got something that's got to be done, I think.
And Paul, speaking about irresponsible people with these scooters, you've got one, haven't you?
I do have one. I don't use it on the public roads, of course, but I do use it around events because these places are huge, right? And getting across events, I've actually got a flat tire at the moment, but I agree. I think we should.
Me too.
We should
Middle
have...
age.
Yeah, was that fat tire or a flat tire?
I've got a spare one, that's for sure. But the reality is that we've got to get some. To your point, Sam, we've got to get some clear guidance on it, and it's not straightforward. And I wonder about priorities. Is this the first thing that the government should be looking at as they come through the door? I think. Shoot me dead, but I think they've got bigger fish to fry just for now. I really agree that this should be dealt with. However, I would rather them come up with a really clear green transport policy that focuses on cars and on vans and on trucks all individually and thinks about the charging infrastructure around that, and then addresses the whole renewable, which I think they already are, renewable energy challenges and the planning issues. And I think these are the bigger fish, but then we can help with the scooters. But it's well made. But I just think if everybody sends in a letter saying please come and listen to us, then they're just going to create a degree of confusion in the longer run.
Interesting. Rob Dustin says that it's a way of losing your licence if you use an e-scooter on the road, as they're covered by the Road Traffic Act. A very good point. And Cheltenham, according to Richard Parker, Cheltenham came up on the text subtitles as Chattanooga, which will always be interesting. So Sam clearly has no command of the English language. Right, okay, let's go to our last story. Milton Keynes City Council's extending an innovative electric car charging trial which unlocks home charging for motorists without driveways. In partnership with Turbocharge, the City Council initially trialled the through pavement channels for 6 families who don't have access to off-street parking. The founders of Turbocharge pitched the product on BBC's Dragon's Den show in February and received investment from sustainability champion Deborah Meaden. The trial is now being extended for up to 100 electric vehicle users in Milton Keynes. The product has proved a success for many residents as it gives them the confidence to move from petrol and diesel cars to electric, reducing CO2 emissions. So essentially a channel in the path that you can put your electric charging cable into and prevent a tripping hazard. Good to see Turbocharge and innovation generally, Paul, coming forward like this.
Yeah, and especially as it annoys Sam because he thinks it won't work. I think clearly that this will work, and it is. I think it's giving confidence to people that there is innovation coming, and every time that we have a challenge around the transition to a zero emission future, then we come up with a solution for it. And this is one of them. Milton Keynes is actually a very forward thinking city. I live relatively close to it, and they've always had a lot of charging there. Unfortunately, because of the author of the charging, it didn't always work. But there is more and more good charging coming into it. And there's a lot of innovative companies around the charging one that Sarah works with. Bright Green, Bright Blue, Bright Green. They are both the same company, and excellent, and doing some trials around there as well. So great to see it, and long may it continue, and I hope it grows across the country.
And there needs to be some common sense, Sam, because this week you shared privately with us a photograph of some pavement charging with double yellow lines in front of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've said for a very long time, on-street charging is not the future of EVs. It just isn't. It might be, the turbo charge is a good idea. It's not a bad idea. It's just got no scalability to it. Everywhere I've ever lived, I've never been able to park directly outside my house. When I haven't had a driveway, I've never been able to always park directly outside my house, exactly where that turbo charge channel is going to be. So for a small use case, it will definitely work and it will be useful. But I'm afraid that, unlike you, Paul, I'm thinking a little bit bigger, and I'm going to see entire climate change reversal. And to do that, we need solutions that can facilitate tens of thousands of EVs over the next 10 years, not 100 people on Milton Keynes. That will solve a problem, no doubt. It'll be brilliant for them, but it's that small. We need solutions that are macro, are massive. If we've got any chance of leaving this planet without irreversible damage for the next generation. So we've got to think big. We've got to think solutions that can make material or large scale changes. Otherwise, we have broken the planet forever. And that's why I'm very much focused on the big solutions.
And are you suggesting that is public charging at the kind of costs that we're looking at?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I'm just wondering what you're suggesting is this big thing that you're suggesting. Is it public charging? Is it hubs everywhere?
I think it has to be in the same way that we do with there is such a large proportion of the population that don't have off-street parking. There needs to be a solution in the same way we don't refuel ICE cars on outside of our driveways either, outside of our houses either. I'm not saying this because I work for a public charging infrastructure company. I just think that's the way in which we get mass EV uptake, is to giving the ability for everyone to affordably charge in a public setting as fast as humanly possible.
There's the key.
Yeah, of course.
So how long
this is
before
a
we
nascent
get to price parity?
We will never get to price parity because it's a convenience charge and it'll always cost more. But the delta is too big. We all know that, and we need to bring it back down.
Then it's not going to work, is it? We're not going to push up prices.
When
everybody else can charge it less, considerably less.
I'll defer to Liz Allen here. Let's move on because it's 10:32 and we should be done by now. Liz Allen sums it up, and she says the main thing is that one size doesn't fit all. I think that's what you're saying, Liz, in your message, and I think that's right. If it works for you, you'll go with it, and the market will decide. As always, great to have debate and discussion on this. There have been some fabulous comments that we just haven't got to today because we've picked some pretty lively topics, and there's always an opinion on a stick at the EV Cafe. If you have any clean transport PR or news stories you'd like us to cover, please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. Till next Friday, it's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from them. This has been an EV Cafe production brought to you this week in partnership with Iveco and the world record holding eDaily, the complete solution. Other sustainability news services are available, but this is just funner! The EV Cafe is truly blessed to be partnered with the AA, Webfleet, Europcar, Paythrough, Iveco, Zaptec, Drax, Spiri, Stuart Science, Hydrock, Allstar, Schneider Electric and Dynamon with the Electric Vehicle Cafe, commonly known to you as the EV Cafe, and supporting the transition to clean transport. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend, wherever it takes you. I'm off to build stuff. Until next Friday, bye!
Bye!
There we go.